I started my life in a place called Guwahati University.
Cotton is so popular, it suddenly goes viral.
Cotton is cotton. It is actually emotion.
Do you have anything to say about this protest culture, cancel culture?
মই মোৰ মাৰ এগেইনষ্টে এতিয়াও প্ৰটেষ্ট কৰোঁ কেতিয়াবা।
Are you on social media?
মানুহে খাওঁতেও ছ'চিয়েল মিডিয়াত থাকে। There is life beyond social media.
How difficult is it to handle the Gen Z?
Changes have to be there. We have to accept changes.
Hi, and welcome to a brand new episode of Guwahati Connection, the GPlus podcast. Today, we have with us a person who has been in corporate boardrooms and has now transitioned himself to the classrooms of education institutes. Currently, he is serving as the Registrar of the Cotton University. He is none other than Dr. Arindam Garg. Dr. Garg has been a part of global brands like the Tata Group, Vodafone, Hewitt Associates, ABN AMRO, and others. In this episode, we discuss with Dr. Garg how his transition has been from the corporate world to the academic one. We speak to him regarding his Guwahati connection, his early life, his views and beliefs, his future plans, and much more. So don't forget to watch till the end. Hello, Dr. Garg. Welcome to the Guwahati Connection, the GPlus podcast. We are really glad to have you here. I want to start off by asking, what is your Guwahati connection? How do you feel you are connected to Guwahati?
First of all, thank you for inviting me. My Guwahati connection basically starts off with the fact that I'm from Guwahati. I started my life in Don Bosco, Guwahati, then moved to Guwahati Commerce College before I moved outside. I started my life in a place called Guwahati University, and my father was working out there, and I was born and brought up in the campus. And it was a fabulous place at that moment of time because we're in the midst of nature, and we grew up with some great luminaries. And the predominant thing that comes to my mind in my childhood as we grew up is the fact that, there were a lot of values and ethics inserted into us, not only by my parents, but by all the whole campus family. It used to be like one family. And, you used to go out in the morning, and sometimes you used to have lunch at a particular place. And your parents would not worry because they knew you were in safe hands. We grew up in that particular place. And when I speak about Guwahati at that moment of time was a very small place, if I may use the words. If you used to come from Guwahati University side towards the Pan Bazaar, Fancy Bazaar, first of all, what I need to tell you is that we used to say that we are going to Guwahati. And Fancy Bazaar, Pan Bazaar was the prime location. Of course, subsequently, Zoo Road and other places came up. So the connection, then subsequently, the memories that are there in Guwahati are very fond, very good. And I grew up with that memories. Then I went outside. And when I went outside and then again I came back to Guwahati, I have always been a Guwahatian at soul. And my values, ethics, which I grew up in that small town Guwahati, is what basically makes me a Guwahatian. I think that is what it is all about.
Over the years, you have grown up in Guwahati, like you said, and Guwahati holds a very special place in your heart. So from then to now, I'm sure, Guwahati University also has changed a lot. The city has also changed a lot. What is the primary change that you have seen, over the years? And, how much do you like it, you don't like it, you think, it has changed beyond recognition? How is it exactly?
Well, as a teacher of change management, first of all, what I should be saying is that change is the only constant. Things will change. Only thing is we have to adopt to change. So that is the first thing I need to say. But having said that, I am seeing a lot of positive developments in Guwahati. You're right. I visualize something like, when I used to land at the airport initially, when I used to come from Mumbai, I was in the corporate sector in Mumbai. And when I used to land, I could feel, that I had landed from Mumbai in Guwahati. But these days, when you land up from any corporate city in Guwahati, you don't get that very differentiating feeling, because as you move out of Guwahati airport, you see that, it's on par with many other cities of India. So I think that's the first positive thing. And secondly, as I say, changes will come in. Changes have to be there. We have to accept changes. When the city grows, it comes with a lot of new things. And when we speak about new things means, it becomes a cosmopolitan culture, which is very important for the growth of the young people. Secondly, you have a lot of industrialization, there is a lot of commercialization. So these are the new things which are coming in Guwahati or have been coming over a period of time. So I look at all these things positively, and I feel definitely feel that we are moving in the right direction, and we all should try to contribute to that change and make it a much more happening place in the future.
Okay, now since you've mentioned about the changes that has that have been happening in Guwahati over the years, of course, I mean Guwahati has grown, it has developed, it is almost at par with any other city in India. You have been outside, but what do you think the population of Guwahati, I'd rather say Guwahatians, do you think they have also grown with the city? I mean, um, I'm talking about maybe the sense of traffic, a little bit of civic sense, and this. Do you think it has grown, or you think that part is a little, there's a mismatch that there's not enough, people are not sensitive enough to these issues? Do you think? I mean, that is something I know it's a sensitive topic, but definitely I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
No, let me just tell you something from the past so that we can exactly relate to this. I studied in my masters in Pune, and when I was doing my masters in Pune again was a kind of a very how should I put it? It was just like Guwahati at that time. Very different from Mumbai. And I used to had a lot of local friends, naturally. And when I used to interact with them, the same, questions or the same thoughts used to be discussed at that moment of time. And that whether, development brings in some negative aspects or something like, change in people. I feel that, when we speak about change has its pros and cons. I already said there's a lot of pros in Guwahati, but traffic is something which everybody is struggling in terms of traffic management, because we are at traffic also means development, because you see it means that people are actually trying to getting ample opportunities to buy cars and or two wheelers and move out on the roads. It also means that buses are coming out, there is more transportation. So yes, there would be traffic when the city grows. In terms of civic sense, I think that is something which evolves over a period of time. When we speak about civic sense, I would not say at all that Guwahatians do not have civic sense. I firmly believe that we all have civic sense, and people who are coming into Guwahati, they obviously come from very good backgrounds and they have very good civic sense also. But I think it is a comprehensive effort. And when we speak about civic sense, as responsible individuals, all of us need to contribute to ensuring that that comes into society. So it can be through, creating awareness programs amongst the youths. The role of NGO is different NGOs are very important in this. So that is how you build it. So I would not say any kind of very drastic changes have come in. I would say this is a natural thing that happens, like I quoted you the example of Pune. And if you see, we are settling down now with the kind of infrastructure development that is happening. I'm sure over a period of time, the all the traffic chaos and other things that we see from time to time would essentially not be there.
Because you mentioned you were in Pune, so when was the last time you were in the city? I mean, do you remember University Circle, Shivaji Nagar, and all those places?
Wonderful memories. And there was near the University Circle, there were those shops. We used to go to the shops, and there were various eateries out there, and there we used to just sit down and relax and eat. But of course, last time I went to Pune, like like we were saying about Guwahati, there are a lot of changes, and changes will be there, like I said. But the old memories are very good in Pune.
From the cities, and we come back to you again. Could you describe a little bit of your childhood and your formative years?
I think growing up in the university campus really helped. Like I said before, they were all they were really stalwarts out there. And as I saw my parents and the people in the neighborhood in the campus, they were very people with very high ethics and values. And these were imbibed in all of us children out there in the campus. I think that is what shaped me. And I must also mention here about the contribution of my school, Don Bosco School, Guwahati. It was also very different at that moment of time. And there were things that were taught to us in school which have contributed to us being what we are. Essentially, we were taught that in terms of maintaining your character and being maintaining good behavior is the main thing rather than just being, thinking about money or careers or something like that. I think these two things shaped me in what I am right now, and I essentially still believe in the fact that there is no substitute for your character, and you need to do things as per norms and rules, and not deviate from basic protocols.
So, your transition from the corporate world, you've been with big brands, you've been with Vodafone,
I started my career in Tata's.
Tata Group. Yeah, exactly. So, how has been the transition? I mean, how did you manage, from the corporate to now the academic world? How did you?
I think what I need to be just saying in this here is that I started and grew my career in Mumbai. So it's a very professional city. Life in Mumbai is very different. You move by the clock. So even if you are late by 10 seconds, you miss your bus, then you miss your train, and then you miss the next connecting bus, and you're late by half an hour to 45 minutes. So first thing what I learned in Mumbai was about time. I still respect time. I generally don't walk into meetings 3:15 for a 3 o'clock meeting. I think that was one great learning in Mumbai. Second thing is in terms of professionalism. It is what I learned in Mumbai when I worked in those big corporates. There were some multinational companies. I had the opportunity of working with people from United States of America, Netherlands, and quite a few other countries. Now, the fact was that it is always professional. There is nothing personal about it. I mean, what I learned was that even if you had a difference of opinion with someone in the workplace, it was primarily connected to your job and that difference of opinion at that moment of time. And it did not necessarily mean that there was something.
There was no personal.
There's nothing personal, agent.
It doesn't spill over.
It doesn't spill over. So in the evening, you go out from your office with that same person and have a cup of tea or coffee with him. That's what I learned. And when we speak about the transition, the corporate life essentially, especially in Mumbai, imbibed in me a lot of professionalism, a lot of a lot of values like time, work ethics, etc. So I spent a sizable amount of time in the corporate life, and my last assignment was, of course, as the head of human resources and administration for Assam and Northeast Cycle, and that was at the time of launch. In Vodafone also, it was a very unique experience because we were running against time to do the launch. And I recollect working, I'm sure it might sound very out of the way, but I recollect working 16 to 18 hours a day. And not I should not be saying all of us. So we did that launch, and all these things imbibe certain values in you. Post that, what happened was then I decided that since there were a lot of already a sizable amount of time was done in corporate, I had come back to my hometown, Guwahati, Assam, my state, Northeast, my region. I thought of giving back to society. So when I thought of giving back to society, the best way of doing it was, connecting to the youth. So then I thought, how do you connect to the youth? I said there are two ways. One is you start education. Second is you do career counseling. So at that moment of time, I was fortunate that Assam Tribune offered me the opportunity of writing the career section of the Assam Tribune, which used to appear every Sunday, if you recollect. And I started writing that for 3 to 4 years. Then Assam Tribune started their campus newspaper, and I was associated with the launch of that. And then simultaneously, I started moving in. I moved into Rajiv Gandhi University, my parents' institution in Arunachal Pradesh. And that's where I moved into academics in the Department of Management, of course, being a been a person from a management background. So transition was, I would say, not very tough for me, because I was a human resources and administration person. I was dealing with generation across. So there was a lot of young people I was dealing with. So when I started dealing with the youth in the all the other forums in the education sector, it was comparatively easier for me. And of course, the fact that I wanted to do something, give it back to them, I think that made the transition possible. I want to just add something out here. A lot of people want to move from the corporate sector to other sectors. I think it is possible. What is required is the determination and, of course, the hard work. So it is definitely possible. And so I'm happy to be here where I am right now.
And now, heading one of the most, premier institutions of the Northeast, Cotton University. So how has been the pressure? I mean, how have you managed, and what does your typical day look like?
Well, cotton is cotton. Actually, I would not exactly call cotton is not only an institution. I would put it this way: it is actually emotion for many people in Assam, and rightly so, because it started in 1901, the premier educational institution of Northeast. So I think definitely, it holds a very special place for people. And, I have mentioned this before also. I feel that directly or indirectly, many people of Assam are connected with cotton. And, emotions are there because of that. So when you look at the my role that I'm currently doing, I would put it this way: I get up in the morning, and two things I do. I get up in the morning, I make a list of to do items that I need to do, which I've always done. And so I do that. I make that list. I ensure that I'm doing it to the best of my ability. And secondly, what I do is when I come back home at night from wherever I am, whichever institution, and including Cotton right now, I look at myself in the mirror. In our times, it was a mirror. Now, of course, you look at the mobile, and then you ask yourself, are you happy with what you have done today? I think, and when I think that the answer is yes, in most cases yes, sometimes there would be some carryovers. I think that is when you feel that you have done your best. So I think it's not about the pressure, it's about doing the job effectively and in terms of enjoying what you are doing. So I would put it that way.
Since you mentioned that, cotton is not just an institution, it's an emotion. How do you feel, or how do you deal with, or how do you cope with when the brand name of cotton sometimes, comes under scrutiny? I mean, certain things happen, situations happen, anything disorderly happens, because cotton is so popular, it suddenly goes viral if anything goes wrong. So how do you handle it generally?
Well, we are in the electronic age, let's face it, and with the social media, it's not only cotton, actually, everybody's under focus. That's how I look at it. So at any given moment of time, whatever anybody does is under focus. So I think what is important is that we need to ensure that things are within defined norms. That is what we need to do. And there may be certain things that some people may bring up, but the point is that whether you and your institution or your organization, wherever you're working in, is that focused and going on desired lines or not. I think that's important, and that's what we try and strive and do in cotton, that we are trying to ensure that we are following defined norms, procedures, and moving in the interest of students, more importantly.
You had also mentioned that you were part of the HR department. I mean, HR is usually, department which is not generally, it's overlooked a little bit by everybody. What do you have to say about it? I mean, what kind of a role does HR actually play in an organization? And why do people think that, HR ka to job to easy hai? I mean, it's to equine hai.
HR ৰ দুটা পোৰ্শন আছে, ওৱান ইজ HR and one is personal বুলি কয়। যেতিয়া আমি পাৰ্চনেলৰ কথাটো কওঁ, ইট ইজ এবাউট পাৰ্চনেল এডমিনিষ্ট্ৰেশ্যন। And when we speak about human resources administration, that is different. Personal administration to hoise jetia apuni dhorok a leave records, attendance, those kind of things you manage and you have to manage, and that is administration. So sometimes when you are doing those things, it may not be seen positively by employees. But when you speak about actual human resource management or human resource development, then you speak about things like training, then your developmental programs, leadership roles, managerial effectiveness. These are the things, sales training. So I think that is the development aspect. So modern HR is not about just administering what things are all about. It is about enabling the human resources of an organization to move ahead. I think hey approach to ekebare beleg azikali. So for example, etia dhorok AI ahi goise, artificial intelligence. Now artificial intelligence is a different ball game altogether. A lot of people, it is still evolving, frankly, as all of us know. So people will have to live with it, organizations will have to live with it. Now, as we speak about AI, I think the role of HR becomes even more important because HR has to play a proactive role in terms of enabling people and ensuring that AI and people move together. I think this is going to be the biggest challenge of HR. So, as a practicing HR professional, moi bhabu যে in the future, the role of HR actually is going to be more challenging than ever before. This is how I look at it.
Like you mentioned, apuni university campus te dangori hol ba, your primary, I mean your personality or you as a person has been influenced by the university culture, or for that matter you have been somewhere involved with the academic world somewhere or the other. 8 year generation too, I mean the generation right now, the Gen Z, how do you think they're different? How difficult is it to handle or manage students now compared to how it was before?
It's not only students, we have to keep in mind it's the new age generation that essentially we need to speak about. So, what happens is the challenges these days are much more. For example, when we grew up, there were nothing like things like social media. There was no mobiles for that matter, or what do you call them, smartphones. Your internet was also not there. And so your challenges in terms of adapting to the environment was only within the circle that you knew. It was not beyond that. Now what happens is with the advent of technology, you are all across and you get exposure to things which are perhaps were not possible at that moment of time. So, as such, what happens is that the challenges for the young community, as I look at it, is much more because you have to adapt to a few more things. So, in this context, I feel the role of parents, guardians, teachers becomes very important. Parents and guardians, they have to, they have to guide and, essentially coach to the best possible extent. And teachers, I feel the role of teachers has to, which we are already doing in a lot of our education institutions, including ours, is we have to develop the mentor mentee systems. So mentor mentee systems is essentially whereby, the teachers are mentors and not just, মানে তেনেকুৱা নহয় যে মই আগৰ লিখাকে ধৰক অকল ষ্টুডেণ্টক শিকাম বা ক্লাছ হেৰি কৰাম, সেইটোৱে নহয়। আমি ফেচিলিটেট কৰিব লাগিব, আমি মেণ্টাৰিং কৰিব লাগিব, আমি কোচিং কৰিব লাগিব। আৰু সেই ৰোলটো চবৰে পেৰেণ্টছ, গাৰ্জেনছ, টিচাৰ্ছ, আমাৰ ছিনিয়ৰ্ছ, মই ছিনিয়ৰ্ছৰ কথাও কওঁ, ছিনিয়ৰ্ছ ইন ছ'চাইটি, ইনফেক্ট ছিনিয়ৰ পিপল, ছিনিয়ৰ ইন এজ, চবৰে আই থিংক সেইটো ক্ৰুচিয়েল হৈ গৈছে। চ' ইউ হেভ টু গাইড দি য়াং জেনেৰেশ্যন এণ্ড ফেচিলিটেট দেয়াৰ গ্ৰ'থ। আৰু কোনো ধৰণৰ এনেকুৱা কথা নাই যে আমি কোনো জেনেৰেশ্যন টু জেনেৰেশ্যনটো কম্পেৰিজনটো হেৰি কৰিব পাৰোঁ। এতিয়া ধৰক মই আজিলৈকে এটা কথা বুজিব নোৱাৰোঁ যে মই দেখিছিলোঁ সৰুতে বেটিং কৰা সুনীল গাভাস্কাৰক, তাৰপিছত মই শচীন তেণ্ডুলকাৰক দেখিলোঁ, তাৰপিছত মই বিৰাট কোহলিক দেখিলোঁ। এতিয়া ক্ৰিকেট ফেন হিচাপে কৈছোঁ, গোটেইখিনি দেখিছোঁ। কিন্তু সুনীল গাভাস্কাৰে যিটো কণ্ডিশ্যনত যিকেইটা বলাৰ ফেচ কৰিছিলে, শচীন তেণ্ডুলকাৰে যিকেইটা বলাৰ বা যিটো কণ্ডিশ্যনত ফেচ কৰিছিলে, আৰু বিৰাট কোহলিয়ে যিটো ফেচ কৰিছিলে, যিটো কণ্ডিশ্যন, দিজ আৰ অল ডিফাৰেণ্ট। গতিকে দেৰ ইজ নাথিং, মই ভাবাত কম্পেৰিজন নাই। আমাৰ কামটো হৈছে এজ এ ছ'চাইটি, এজ এ সকলোৰে এজ ছিনিয়ৰ্ছ অফ দ্য ছ'চাইটি দেট উই নিড টু গাইড, ফেচিলিটেট এণ্ড টেক দ্য য়াং জেনেৰেশ্যন ফৰৱাৰ্ড। এইটো কালিও আছিলে, আজিও আছে, আগলৈও থাকিব।
Very nice perspective, I think, apuni etu junkhini bujale very enlightening. So in present times, obviously we had the pandemic which totally changed the entire world. So What do you think? What kind of change did it bring to learning and students and teachers or education system as a whole? How do you think it has changed for the good or for whatever? It has become different, obviously.
I think the trend of online started with pandemic. I still recollect. I was in Rajiv Gandhi University, and suddenly this came, the pandemic or COVID came, and we had to get our classes running. Now, when you say classes running, it was easier said than done. কাৰোতো তেনেকুৱা ধৰণৰ বিশেষ এক্সপিৰিয়েঞ্চ নাছিলে প্ৰি কোভিড so we were just literally looking for ways to do it, and Google was the first platform where we started off, Google Classrooms. তাৰপিছত বেলেগ বেলেগ platform আহিলে. So I think and then of course you started having meetings online, so a variety of developments happened. Pandemic obviously was a very difficult time for all of us. মানে সেইটোতো আৰু goes without saying. Kintu, besides that, it also, what it did was it brought in a trend of online teaching, coaching, meeting, conferences, etc. So I think that's how that was a slight change brought in by the pandemic. I have no doubts that this would anyway have happened. পিছত হলেও হল হয় কিন্তু only thing is এইটো অলপ সোনকালে হৈ গ'ল
Accelerate কৰিলে মানে।
because the situation demanded it. So I think that's why it suddenly happened. It happened fast. But anyway, এইটোতো হলেই হয়. So I think that is how we should be looking at it.
I think you were the very first administrative manager of the Guwahati Biotech Park. Could you tell us what exactly happened to the project?
Guwahati Biotech Park is on the move right now. That's the first thing I should be saying. And when we started off, it was very initial stages. And we built up the first incubation center at IIT Guwahati at that moment of time, which was quite, it was the start of incubation. Let me put it that way. Start of incubation. And there were three entrepreneurs who came along, and one was from US, one Mr. Pathak, ASME's entrepreneur. Then there were a couple of others. So we started off with three entrepreneurs out there. High skill modern scientific equipments were put into Guwahati Biotech Park, and it was the starting of incubation. These days, of course, we see a lot of incubations all across, but it actually essentially started off there. And I believe now with the permanent campus that has come up in this locality of Kamrup rural in the Amingaon area, I'm sure we will see a lot of development, and already there are a lot of entrepreneurs and different projects happening out there. So it is a positive development for all of us.
In the position you are in, how much of a public life do you have? I mean, is it difficult? Is it, you have to maintain your, lines and limits of how you are there in the public? Is it like that, or?
I am of course, the head of the institution administratively, but we also have a honorable vice chancellor,
Of course, yes.
who heads the institution. So that is one aspect. Second aspect is, as in the days of social media and internet and all that, I think we are all in public roles. So that's the second aspect. Thirdly, uh, like I said, sometime back, the main thing is all about doing your job in the best possible professional manner. All other things follow. And all of us, in whatever jobs we are doing, we have to work in the interest of our organization or institution. So I think as long as those are getting managed and those are being done properly, the rest of it is purely something that follows naturally. And of course, as individuals, we need to ensure that we are doing things properly.
I would like to ask something, related to again education and academics. What do you think about the integrated coaching classes? I mean, how important are they? Are they right now a very necessary part of a student's education, or just a little extra that they need for that competitive edge? Or how is it? I mean, if somebody is not doing that coaching, are they missing out? Is there a chance that they would miss out, likely miss out?
All education institutes, whether in the public or the private domain, I think all of us try and strive to achieve the best possible things for the students, and you want to give them the best possible things. Now, going back across generations, if you go back, there were always additional helps that were taken by students from time to time. We used to take, we used to take tuitions. If you see, tuitions is also a part of it. And sometimes, if there is a slow learner, as I put it, a slow learner may need tuitions at a very initial stage rather than somebody who's progressing well. Secondly, in terms of tutorials, as I look at it, there were support systems always in place. So support systems will continue in terms of studies. I think there is no harm in it. But the problem is, we as educational institutions, we have to ensure that we are delivering our best, and our studies are essentially ensuring the needs of our students. Beyond that, of course, if some supports are required, it is up to that respective person to take it. But as education institutions, we have to deliver what we have to deliver. And in terms of that, it is essentially classes morning to evening, which we do, and we have to do that.
Are you on social media?
Oh, yes, I'm in social media.
How active are you?
Let me put it this way. I exercise caution in terms of social media, but also because of the fact that I have very less time these days.
So you don't have much time to scroll through reels.
Yeah, I mean, you can't keep on always being in social media. And I also, in my training sessions, which I also do in a variety of aspects to students as well as to other people, what I advise people is that there is life beyond social media. So it is good to be, be in social media. I'm definitely not saying no, you need to be in social media. But what is equally important is that you need to be also in the other aspects of life. So, these days I see people, even if they're sitting for 2 minutes, the general tendency is to just swipe and look at social media. Your hands are always there. Now, I do not do that. Why I don't do that? Because I have a dedicated time for social media. I'm not saying I'm not there in social media. Suppose, I get a time break in between. At that moment of time, I use that to think and plan rather than getting into a video or something else in social media. I think that aspect in every individual is very, very important. So it's sometimes actually, I find it very disheartening when I see people always on the mobile phone, because that's not life. I'm not saying you don't need to be there. There's a difference. You need to be there. কিন্তু কি হয়, আপুনি যদি দিনে ৰাতিয়ে সেইটোকে চাই আছে, আৰু এনেকুৱাও মই দেখিছোঁ মানুহে খাই থাকোঁতেও চাই থাকে। আমাক দেখোন সৰুতে শিকোৱা গৈছিলে যে খোৱাৰ সময়টো খাব লাগে, কিবা বেলেগ সময়ত যিটো কাম কৰিছোঁ সেইটোতে মন দিব লাগে। আজিকালি দেখোঁ মানুহে খাওঁতেও ছ'চিয়েল মিডিয়াত থাকে, তাৰপিছত অকণমান যদি মাজতে 2 মিনিট গেপ এটাও পায়, সেই 2 মিনিটটো বহি আৰাম কৰাতকে বা কিবা এটা ভাবাতকে সেইটো মুহূৰ্তটো কিবা এটা চাই লয়, যেন এইটো নাচালে, আৰু এইটো মই এটা নেচাৰেলি টেণ্ডেঞ্চি এটা দেখিছোঁ যে এজ ইফ ইউ আৰ গেটিং লেফ্ট আউট, বাট দেৰ ইজ ইউ আৰ নট গেটিং লেফ্ট আউট. Actually, life is much more than that. So I think that is very important.
Cotton University probably, I think, is the first public university in the Northeast to get the NAAC A grading, and that too, I think, in its first cycle itself.
In terms of state universities, I think I believe rather that there is one university, I think it was Mizoram University, which first also acquired in its first cycle, but that was over a period of time. They took some time. We have done it in the first cycle in a very short period of time. Let me put it that way.
Could you explain a little bit, in details about that accreditation? That is one thing, and how difficult or what kind of effort did go into, getting this grading?
They essentially evaluate you on a variety of parameters. And as a college, we already had secured A++ in our last cycle. But then, as everybody knows, we moved into becoming an university. So when you become a university, the criteria has become very different from a college. So সেইকাৰণে কি হয়, বস্তুটো বিৰাট চেলেঞ্জিং হৈ যায়। তাৰমানে আপুনি যেনেকৈ যিকেইটা ক্ৰাইটেৰিয়া ডিফাইন থাকে কলেজৰ কাৰণে, ঘপককৈ ইউনিভাৰ্চিটি হৈ গ'লে গোটেই ক্ৰাইটেৰিয়াবোৰ সলনি হৈ যায়। So then you have to meet those criteria, and within a very short time. That is a big challenge. And yet, jitu NAAC criteria, but there are a variety of criteria. I mean, there are so many fields out there you have to see. So as an institution, for all of us, it was very challenging because we had to look at all these criteria, whether it was academic, it was co-curricular, whether it was infrastructures, everything. And we had to move the ball very fast. I believe that was a very challenging aspect for all of us. We worked together collaboratively in a comprehensive manner to make it happen. And people toil, my respected colleagues, I have, especially in the IQAC cell, and there were certain members, they worked day and night, all of them. All had, their different teaching assignments and all that, but inevitably they were working morning to night. And it was a comprehensive effort. I must also mention that at the time of the NAAC visit, we received support from all quarters that was required, whether, in terms of different government agencies, in terms of internal stakeholders, external stakeholders, everybody supported. So a big thank you to all of them. And definitely, this was a very good thing for cotton that we got the A cycle accreditation in the first cycle itself. And I think from here onwards, we only look upwards.
Coming back to some small detail, when I spoke to you the other day, for this interview, I আপোনাক কৈছিল যে 12টা মানত ষ্টাৰ্ট কৰি দিম, and you had mentioned that না আমি 12টাত ষ্টাৰ্ট নকৰোঁ, অলপ আগত নহ'লে অলপ পিছত ষ্টাৰ্ট কৰিম, পুৰা 12টাত ষ্টাৰ্ট নকৰোঁ. So is there anything, I won't call it superstition.
মই এটা কথা কওঁ আপোনাক, তাৰমানে আমাৰ জেনেৰেশ্যনটো, আমাৰ ওচৰত গুগল নাছিলে, ইণ্টাৰনেট নাছিলে। আমাৰ জেনেৰেশ্যনটোৱে কথা ক'ৰ পৰা শিকিছিলে? ককা আইতা, দেউতা মা, খুৰা বৰদেউতা ইত্যাদি মানুহৰ পৰা, মামা ককা, এতিয়া তেনেকুৱা মানুহবোৰৰ পৰা আমি কথা শিকিছিলোঁ। সেই কথাবোৰ কিন্তু যুগে যুগে মনত থাকে, 1 নম্বৰ। 2 নম্বৰ কথাটো হৈছে, মই যেতিয়া জীৱনত আগবাঢ়ি আহিছোঁ, সেই কথাবোৰ যিবোৰ শিকিছিলোঁ সেইবোৰে মোক বহুত সহায় কৰে বা কৰি আছে, মই ভাবোঁ। এতিয়া সেই সংক্ৰান্তত তাৰমানে কি হয়, আমাক সেই সময়ত এটা কথা কোৱা গৈছিল, আৰু মই সেইকাৰণে কোৱা কথা যে আমি একেবাৰে 12টাৰ পিছতেই কিবা এটা ক'ৰবাত যোৱা কাম এটা বা কিবা কৰা কাম এটা একজেক্টলি 12টাত নকৰোঁ, অকণমান আগে পিছে তাৰ পৰা যায়, সেইটোৰ সংক্ৰান্তত। কিন্তু ইয়াতে আপুনি এটা ভাল পইণ্ট এটা ৰেইজ কৰিছে, যে এই যে কথা কিছুমান আমি সৰুতে শিকিছিলোঁ, সেই ককা আইতাই শিকাই থাকে। এতিয়া মই দেখিছোঁ, এতিয়াও আজিকালি আৰু এটা কনচেপ্ট কি হয়, মানুহ নিউক্লিয়াৰ ফেমিলিত থাকে। মই দেখোঁ যে মোৰ বিভিন্ন মানুহ, মই বেছিকৈ সেইটোত কোৱা উচিত নহয়, নিজৰ নিজৰ জীৱন, কিন্তু একেখন চহৰতে মাক দেউতাক বেলেগে থাকে, ল'ৰা ছোৱালী বেলেগে থাকে। মই মোৰ মাৰ ঘৰতেই থাকোঁ, মা মোৰ লগত নাথাকে, কিন্তু মই মোৰ মাৰ ঘৰত থাকোঁ, মোৰ ল'ৰা ছোৱালী মোৰ লগত থাকে, আৰু মোৰ মা আৰু মোৰ ল'ৰা ছোৱালীকেইটা এতিয়াও মানে বেষ্ট ফ্ৰেণ্ডছ বুলি ক'ব পাৰি। মোৰ খুৰাও মোৰ লগত থাকে, তাৰ আগতে মোৰ বৰমাও আছিলে, আমি তেনেকুৱা এখন ঘৰৰ। এই মানুহবোৰৰ যিখিনি আমাৰ বয়সস্থ মানুহখিনিয়ে যিখিনি কথা কয়, মই এতিয়াও সেইখিনি শুনো আৰু শিকোঁ। কাৰণ এটা কথা কি, there is one very thing that many of us tend to forget, that life is a continuous learning experience. And we think, we know a lot. Actually, we don't know anything. কাৰণ ইমান নলেজ আছে ল'বলৈ গোটেই পৃথিৱীখনত, there is no end to it. You keep on learning till 80, 85, 90 years of age. So I think a continuous learning experience to বিৰাট সহায় কৰে। আৰু যেতিয়া আমি এই পুৰণা কথাবোৰ লৈ বা পুৰণা কথাবোৰ সুধি বুজি আগবাঢ়োঁ জীৱনত, আমাক কিছুমান ক্ষেত্ৰত সহায় কৰে।
I think আমি a podcast to start কৰাৰ আগতে we were talking about the importance of internships or industry training, which is already there right now in the new NEP, and it's a very valid point. So of course it's important, but how far do you think it has worked so far, not only in Assam or for that matter India, মানে hey internship kora ba on the job training during your academics? So do you think it has actually worked out, or far more can be done?
I think, internships and practical learnings are a part of it. আগতে কি হয়, আগতে যিবোৰ কোৰ্ছত নকৰিলে নহয়, সেই কোৰ্ছবোৰতহে ইণ্টাৰ্ণশ্বিপ থাকে। এতিয়া উদাহৰণস্বৰূপে আপুনি যদি আগৰ পৰা চাই, এটা হোটেল মেনেজমেণ্ট কোৰ্ছ আছিলে আমাৰ, এতিয়াও আছে। হোটেল মেনেজমেণ্ট কোৰ্ছত 2মাহমানৰ ইণ্টাৰ্ণশ্বিপ এটা ফিক্সড আছিলে, য'ত আপুনি এখন হোটেলত গৈ পেলাই তাত ইণ্টাৰ্ণ হিচাপে কাম কৰে। মই MBA প্ৰগ্ৰেমটো শিকাওঁ, মেনেজমেণ্ট ডিপাৰ্টমেণ্ট যিহেতু মোৰ। MBA প্ৰগ্ৰেমটোতো তেনেকৈ ইণ্টাৰ্ণশ্বিপটো ফিক্স আছিলে, কাৰণ আপোনাৰ যিটো which area of specialization, whatever you want to do, whether it's finance, marketing, HR or systems, you go and do your internship out there. কিন্তু এনেকুৱা কোনো কথা নাছিলে আগতে যে সব ট্ৰেডিশ্যনেল কোৰ্চেছবোৰত আমি ইণ্টাৰ্ণশ্বিপছবোৰ আছিলে বা কৰা কম্পালচৰি আছিলে গতিকে আই থিংক এই NEP-টো অহাৰ পিছত কি ভাল হৈছে যে প্ৰেক্টিকেল বা যিটো এক্সপিৰিয়েঞ্চিয়েল লাৰ্ণিং বুলি কয় the thing that we refer to as experiential learning that experiential learning is very important to develop in life তাৰমানে কথা এটা আমি ক্লাছৰুমছত শিকাবও লাগিব কনচেপ্টছ ক্লিয়াৰ কৰিব লাগিব কিন্তু সেইখিনি গৈ যেতিয়া আপুনি একচুৱেলি ইউ ডু ইট that is when you actually understand how to do it. For a simple example, this podcast, for example, we also have a mass communication department. Now, in mass communication department, our combination is also a combination of practical and theoretical aspects. এতিয়া ধৰক এই পডকাষ্টটোতে আমাৰ যদি এইখিনি বস্তু অকল এটা থিয়ৰি দি শিকোৱা যায় এইটোতো এফেক্টিভ লাৰ্ণিং নহ'ব it has to be a combination of theoretical and practical experience কাৰণ তেতিয়াহে আগবাঢ়ি ষ্টুডেণ্টছ যাব পাৰিব গতিকে দিছ হেজ বিকাম ভেৰি ইম্পৰ্টেণ্ট এণ্ড আমি এতিয়া এইবাৰ আমাৰ কটনত যথেষ্টখিনি ইণ্টাৰ্ণশ্বিপ কৰাইছোঁ বিভিন্ন অৰ্গেনাইজেশ্যনছৰ লগত টাই আপ কৰিছোঁ আমি বহুত MOUs কৰিছোঁ তাৰ থ্ৰুৱেদিও কিছুমান আমি ইণ্টাৰ্ণশ্বিপছ পাইছোঁ গতিকে the future is all about internships, all about a combination of experiential learning and of course the traditional aspects.
আপুনি যোনটো ক'লে, for example, you mentioned about the podcast in the mass comm department. Now, that is a technical course, for example. কিন্তু আপোনাৰ general studentsবোৰ যেতিয়ালৈকে, they don't, exactly follow a technical line, a specialized line. সেইখিনি ষ্টুডেণ্টছৰ কাৰণেও কিবা কৰা হৈছে বা কৰিব পাৰি নেকি? Don't you think they'll also benefit? I mean, in 11-12 also. Do you think it's important? I think আজিকালি স্কুলছতো চাগে
নহয় ইনফেক্ট মই আপোনালোকক এটা খবৰ শ্বেয়াৰ কৰোঁ আপোনালোক you may be knowing Cotton University is also having the higher secondary course, though we are a university, because traditionally we are having it and we are proud to be having it. Having said that, there was I would call it a very pleasant thing that we have noticed is that আমাৰ যিখন স্কুল বৰ্ডখন আমাৰ অসমৰ স্কুল বৰ্ডখনে বহুত প্ৰেক্টিকেল কোৰ্চেছ ইণ্ট্ৰডিউচ কৰিছে উদাহৰণস্বৰূপে মই তাত দেখা হিচাপত আৰ্টিফিচিয়েল ইণ্টেলিজেঞ্চ তাৰপিছত আপোনাৰ অন ছামথিং অন ডিজিটেল এনেকুৱা ধৰণৰ কোৰ্চেছবোৰ মানে এডিশ্যনেলি হায়াৰ ছেকেণ্ডেৰী ষ্টুডেণ্টছ আৰ ছাপ'জ টু টেক ইট চ' আই বিলিভ দেট ইজ এ ভেৰি পজিটিভ ডেভেলপমেণ্ট গতিকে সেইটো অলৰেডি আমাৰ ছিষ্টেমত আহি গৈছে এইবাৰৰ হায়াৰ ছেকেণ্ডেৰীত সেই বস্তুখিনি আহিছে আৰু আমি আমাৰ ইনষ্টিটিউশ্যনছবোৰত সেই বাস্কেটবোৰ অফাৰ কৰিছোঁ ষ্টুডেণ্টছক চ' দেট ইজ অলৰেডি দেয়াৰ ইন টু দ্য ট্ৰেডিশ্যনেল এডুকেশ্যন ছিষ্টেম চ' NEPৰ যিটো টাৰ্গেট ইমপ্লিমেণ্টেশ্যনটো লোৱা হৈছে NEP ইজ এ ইভলভিং কনচেপ্ট আমিতো ধৰক আৰু কোনেওতো এনেকুৱা ইমান ডাঙৰ বস্তু এটা এদিন বা দুদিনত it's not practically feasible and it's over a period of time that we are doing it. Everybody in India is doing it. So I think we are on track to achieve it. So NEP to be that positive development. Aru amar phalor pra since all desired bodies are now taking it into consideration, I believe the future is very bright in this.
Coming back to Guwahati or rather, Assam, Northeast. So of course, Guwahati is growing. It's developing. Assam also at the same pace, it's developing. So along with that, apuni bhabene there are also enough career opportunities which have come up, for the students here or for the, youth here, or is, our career opportunities are still scarce and people still go out looking for jobs. Of course, they go out to metro cities, but are we seeing a growth in the numbers of employment opportunities? And also, how are we or how are the institutes preparing the students for this?
No, career opportunities to definitely Assam Northeast or Dahise. There is, I have no second thoughts on that because there are a lot of things happening. আপুনি যদি এতিয়া চাই আমাৰ যিটো টাটাছ অৰ জাগিৰোডত ছেমিকণ্ডাক্টৰ ইউনিট বহোৱা হৈছে that itself is going to generate a huge lot of employment. আৰু মই ইন দি হেৰি লেভেল মানে এতিয়া ধৰক কিছুমান বস্তুটো নিউজে ডাঙৰ বস্তুবোৰ আহে আদাৰৱাইজ মই বিভিন্ন নতুন কৰ্পৰেটছ নতুন সৰু সৰু অৰ্গেনাইজেশ্যনছ যিবোৰ ষ্টাৰ্ট হৈছে সেইবোৰো নৰ্থ ইষ্টত আহিছে এতিয়া এইবোৰতো চব বস্তু নিউজত নাহে আমি কিছুমান খবৰ পাওঁ কিছুমান আপোনালোকে খবৰ পায় চ' কেৰিয়াৰ অপৰচুনিটিজ এণ্ড এভিনিউজ আৰ গ্ৰ'য়িং আৰু এটা কথা কি হয় কেতিয়াবা এই টপিকটো যে ওলাই যে বাহিৰলৈ মানুহ যাব, এতিয়া কেতিয়াবা মানুহ বাহিৰলৈ যাব পাৰে, কোনোবা আহিব পাৰে, দেট ইজ এ নেচাৰেল ফ্ল' অফ মুভমেণ্ট। কিন্তু কাৰিয়াৰ অপৰচুনিটিজ আপুনি যদি এতিয়া চাই, ইফ ইউ ৰিয়েলি লুক এট ইট, ৱেডাৰ ইন টাৰ্মছ অফ আছাম এণ্ড নৰ্থ ইষ্ট, ইন টাৰ্মছ অফ নট অনলি বিগ অৰ্গেনাইজেশ্যন, স্মল অৰ্গেনাইজেশ্যনছো বহুত বাঢ়িছে। এণ্ড আৰু এটা কথা কি হয়, আমি এতিয়া কাৰিয়াৰ্ছ যিটো কয় নহয়, careers is a very মানে what may be a career for you may not be a career for me. ইয়াতে এটা মই জাষ্ট এটা কথা কৈ থোৱাটো উচিত বুলি ভাবিছোঁ যে গতিকে চইচ অফ এ career ইজ ভেৰি ভেৰি ইম্পৰ্টেণ্ট। মই মোৰ ফাৰ্ষ্ট আৰ্টিকলটো লিখিছিলোঁ ইম্পৰ্টেঞ্চ অফ career প্লেনিং। এতিয়া ইম্পৰ্টেঞ্চ অফ career প্লেনিঙত কি হয়, আপুনি কথাটো হৈছে যে যিজন ষ্টুডেণ্ট হয় তেখেত আৰু তেখেতৰ পেৰেণ্টছ এণ্ড গাৰ্জেনছ দে অল শুড ৱৰ্ক টুগেডাৰ to understand the career that that person will do. It's not about that মেম কোনোবাই বেলেগে কৰিছে বা এইটোত বেছি প্ৰগ্ৰেছ আছে, আমি সেইবোৰ জাজমেণ্টত যাব নালাগে। I think what is important is that we understand that interest অনুসাৰি কি career কৰিব লাগে, because if you want to do something professionally and your whole life, more importantly, possibly your whole life, you have to be first of all interested in it. গতিকে ইণ্টাৰেষ্টটো হ'লেহে কৰিব পৰা যাব। অফক'ৰ্ছ স্ক'পটো চাব লাগিব, আৰু আজিকালি কি হয়, ইউ হেভ টু বিল্ড স্কিলছ ফৰ ডেট। চ' এই বস্তুকেইটা কৰিলে এম্পল কেৰিয়াৰ অপৰচুনিটিজ আপোনাক য'ত লাগে আপুনি বিচাৰি পাব। তাৰমানে আমি কি হয়, আমি যদি কওঁ যে মোৰ স্কিলছ নাই, মোৰ হেৰি নাই, আৰু মই চাকৰিও পোৱা নাই, দেট ইজ এ ডিফাৰেণ্ট পইণ্ট। কিন্তু মই এমপ্লয়মেণ্ট ইজ কানেক্টেড টু ইয়ৰ স্কিলছ এণ্ড ইয়ৰ কেপেবিলিটিজ, আৰু এটা শব্দ আছে কম্পিটেঞ্চিজ। স্কিলছ কম্পিটেঞ্চিজ আৰু আপোনাৰ কেপেবিলিটি যদি আছে, আই থিংক এমপ্লয়মেণ্ট ইজ দেয়াৰ, চ' ইট শুড নট বি এ কনষ্ট্ৰেইন।
So recently, not only recently, over the past few years, so we have seen a lot of, the culture of protest on the rise. Kiba eta hole protest hok henok. Recently also we have had, incidents, and it seems like the level of tolerance or patience has come down, among people, among Hari. So do you have anything to say about this protest culture or cancel culture, whatever we call it?
No, in fact, I would put it this way. I think protest culture is essentially on the decline. That is how I look at it, actually. আপোনালোকে যদি চাই, তাৰমানে এতিয়া প্ৰটেষ্টটো কি? Protest is a relative term. I may protest against you, you may protest against me also. That is a different thing. কিন্তু কেতিয়াবা আপুনি যিটো ৰেফাৰ কৰিছে হয়তো সেইটো প্ৰটেষ্ট নহয়। মই মোৰ মাৰ এগেইনষ্টে এতিয়াও প্ৰটেষ্ট কৰোঁ কেতিয়াবা। গতিকে প্ৰটেষ্ট কেন বি এট অল লেভেলছ। মোৰ ল'ৰা ছোৱালীকেইটাই মোৰ ওপৰত প্ৰটেষ্ট কৰে, সেইটো এটা ডিফাৰেণ্ট লেভেল। এতিয়া আপুনি যিটো হয়তো ৰেফাৰ কৰিছে, মষ্ট প্ৰবলি ইউ আৰ ৰেফাৰিং টু ছামথিং অন এ ৱাইডাৰ স্কেলৰ। গতিকে ৱাইডাৰ স্কেলৰ প্ৰটেষ্টবোৰ আপুনি যদি চাই, ইমানটো আজিকালি নহয়। আৰু কেতিয়াবা ইফ দেৰ আৰ চাৰ্টেন কনষ্ট্ৰেইনছ ডেট কাম ইন, প্ৰটেষ্ট হোৱাতকৈ মই ভাবোঁ এইটো ডায়েলগৰ থ্ৰুৱেদি শেষ কৰিব পাৰি। চ' ডায়েলগটো ইম্পৰ্টেণ্ট, কাৰণ ডায়েলগ কৰিলে কথা পাতিলেই বস্তুটো হৈ যায়। চ' দ্য কণ্টেক্স অফ প্ৰটেষ্ট ইজ এ ৰিলেটিভ থিং। তাৰমানে এতিয়া সেই বস্তুটো আচলতে যদিও আমি ভাবোঁ যে হৈছে বা হেৰি নাই হোৱা, আই থিংক ডায়লগ ইজ বেটাৰ। সেইটো ক্ষেত্ৰত কথা পাতি বস্তুটো আচলতে সমাধান হৈ যায়। মই তেনেকেই চাওঁ বস্তুটো।
Coming back to a little bit on your personal side, apuni ki bhal pai, what is your hobby or passion, something apart from your job that you get time or you like to do usually?
তাৰমানে হবিজটো বহুত আছে। হবিজ মানে এচেঞ্চিয়েলি স্পৰ্টছ খেলোঁ আগৰে পৰা। গতিকে বিভিন্ন স্পৰ্টছ খেলোঁ বা খেলিবও পাৰোঁ। অৱশ্যে ইমান স্ক'পটো নাই খেলাৰ এতিয়া। ঘৰতে এখন টেবুল টেনিছ বৰ্ড আছে, সেইখন লোৱা হৈছে। গতিকে আগতেই ল'লোঁ সেইখন। মই আৰু মোৰ ল'ৰা ছোৱালী আৰু যোন য'ত আহে আমি টেবুল টেনিছ খেলোঁ। মই চেছ খেলোঁ। চ' আই প্লে চেছ, মাই চিলড্ৰেন অলছ' প্লে চেছ। গতিকে চেছ খেলোঁ। চেছে অলপ মোক ডিষ্ট্ৰেছ কৰে। শব্দটো ডিষ্ট্ৰেছ বুলি কৈছোঁ। কি হয়, তাৰমানে আপুনি ইমান ধুনীয়াকৈ মনটো চেছত সোমাই যায়, গতিকে বাকীখিনি ষ্ট্ৰেছ ওলাই গুচি যায়। আৰু স্পৰ্টছটো খেলিলে, এতিয়া টেবুল টেনিছ যদিও কৈছোঁ, আগতে বম্বেত থাকোঁতে স্কোৱাছ খেলিছিলোঁ। স্কোৱাছ খেলিছিলোঁ তেতিয়া স্কোৱাছ ইমান ইণ্ডিয়াত পপুলাৰ নাছিলে। স্কোৱাছ এটা ক্লাব আছিলে, তাতে খেলিছিলোঁগৈ গৈ, আৰু সেইটোৱেও ডিষ্ট্ৰেছ কৰিছিলে। আৰু হবিজ যদি আপুনি কয়, আজিকালি মোৰ এটা হবি এটা আছে, বা আজিকালি অলপ স্ক'পটো কমি গৈছে, সেইটো হৈছে মোৰ বিভিন্ন কাণ্ট্ৰিজৰ ষ্টেম্পছ আছে মোৰ ওচৰত, ফিলাটেলি যিটো কয়। চ' প্ৰায় আই হেভ,
আপুনি ফিলাটেলি ক্লাবৰ মেম্বাৰ আছিল চাগে ডন বস্কো,
তেতিয়া আছিলোঁ ফিলাটেলি ক্লাবৰ ডন বস্কোত।
ব্ৰাদাৰ ইগনেচিয়াছ।
য়েছ, আৰু তেতিয়াই ডেভেলপড হ'ল। তাৰপিছত মোৰ বৰদেউতা, ইণ্টাৰেষ্টিংলি তেখেতে আকৌ 50s মানৰ পৰাই কালেক্ট কৰিছিলে। চ' গতিকে তেখেতৰ সেই গাইডেঞ্চৰ আণ্ডাৰত দ্য ষ্টাম্প কালেকশ্যন ইম্প্ৰুভড, এণ্ড এতিয়াও সেইখিনি আছে। গতিকে সেইকেইটা হবিজ, আৰু হবিজ প্ৰাইমেৰলি, বাকী হবিজ এৰি মেইন কথাটো কি হৈছে যে ইউ হেভ টু গিভ টাইম অলছ' টু ইয়ৰ ফেমিলি। I think that also is an important thing. So hobbies উপৰি সময়টো সেইটোতো কটোৱাওঁ যেতিয়া পাৰোঁ, বিজি স্কেডিউলৰ পৰা, যে ফেমিলিক অলপ সময় দিওঁ।
Anything you'd like to say about your future plans? I mean, post whatever you are doing right now, what do you have any plans? Or
Future plans in life is my approach to life is, it is that, it is a continuous learning process, and the process is always about improvisation. That is the first thing which I need to say. Keeping that in mind, মই ভাবোঁ যে ফিউচাৰটো, এতিয়া মোৰ ধৰক এটা পাৰ্টিকুলাৰ এজ হৈছে, আই এম অফ এ পাৰ্টিকুলাৰ জেনেৰেশ্যন। I think more boyhood, what is important is that we think in terms of giving back to society in whatever way we can. And of course, at the same time, we have to keep on developing ourselves. সেইটো মই বহুত বাৰ কৈছোঁ, আৰু সেইটোত মই বিশ্বাস কৰোঁ, any way we can develop ourselves. So future plans যিটোৱে লওঁ, I think giving back to society is important. মই যেতিয়াই যেনেকৈ পাৰোঁ, মই মানুহক সহায় কৰিব বিচাৰোঁ, মানে উইদাউট এনি নিডছ। মই আপোনাক এনেই এটা বাক্যত কওঁ, কথাটো বেছিকৈ ইলাবৰেট কৰিব নোৱাৰোঁ। মই উইদাউট এনি ইণ্টাৰেষ্ট অন এনিথিং, মোৰ মিছেছে, উই আৰ ছাপৰ্টিং এৰাউণ্ড 15 to 16 ছিনিয়ৰ চিটিজেনছ। দেৰ ইজ নাথিং ইন ইট, কোনো হেৰি নহয়, যেনেকৈ যি পাৰোঁ কৰি আছোঁ। ছেকেণ্ড কথাটো হৈছে যে ফিউচাৰ প্লেনছ in the interest of the state. I mean, that is the reason why I came back to my state. I had a successful career in Mumbai, and I was also in Gurgaon. Jete Gurgaon asile, Gurugram nohoy. Gurgaon thakote Gurgaon মোৰ চকুৰ আগত মই development দেখিছোঁ, the millennium city as you call it. So I came back to Assam essentially in the northeast to do some things which will be helpful for people. মই ভাবিছোঁ, and I believe, and of course আপোনালোকেও সেইটো এগ্ৰী কৰিব, যে education is one sphere where we can contribute to the development of youngsters. Besides education, social service যিটো কৰিব পাৰি, and in any way, in any role that tomorrow if I come up, if I see a role where I feel I can contribute to the system, contribute to the society, contribute to my state, I'm more than happy. So that in simple is the future plan. Contribute back to society, contribute to your state. I think that is the simple future plan.
before we conclude, 2 messages. One for people, who are in the corporate, who might also want to transition to academia like you have done. And one for our students, of course. What advice do you have for them?
Well, actually, I should not be putting it as an advice to corporate professionals, because that would not be the appropriate way of putting it. I feel I just need to share with them, rather, that if you want to transition from one aspect of life to the other aspect, I'd put it that way. The first issue is to take a quick decision. I think most cases I have seen, because I'm still in touch with people, it is the biggest constraint to hoise je ami decision to lobo bahut samoy lobo নোৱাৰো। কিয়? কাৰণ আমি এটা কমফৰ্ট জোনত থাকোঁ। যেতিয়া কমফৰ্ট জোন যিটো চাকৰিয়ে হওক, মই কৰ্পৰেট বুলি এতিয়া কোৱাই নাই, যে কমফৰ্ট জোনটোত ইমান ধুনীয়াকৈ আমি ছেটল হৈ যাওঁ নহয়, আমাৰ কাৰণে কি হয়, আমি ডিচিশ্যনটো ল'ব বহুত টান হয়। কিন্তু মই এটা কথা কওঁ যে ৰিস্কটো যদি ভবা যায়, ল'ব লাগিব। যদি ভবা যায়, প্ৰথমটো ভাবিব লাগিব কথাটো, তাৰপিছত once you think, you have to take the risk, and if you take the risk, you have to plan. কিন্তু এনেকুৱা হ'ব নালাগে যে মই এৰাৰ পিছত ভাবিছোঁ যে মই কি কৰিম। There has to be a plan in place. Plan A, Plan B, কিবা এটা থাকিব লাগিব। আৰু কষ্টটোতো কৰিবই লাগিব, সেইটোত শ্বৰ্টকাট নাই। এতিয়াও আমি সকলোৱে, আমি অল অফ ইউ হিয়াৰ ইন GPlus, আমি চবেই এতিয়া কষ্ট কৰি আছোঁ, সেইটোততো শ্বৰ্টকাট নাই। খালি ট্ৰানজিশ্যন হেজ টু বি ফাষ্ট, ডিচাইচিভ, এণ্ড ইউ হেভ টু প্লেন ইট থ্ৰু। চ' সেইটো মই শ্বেয়াৰ কৰিব খুজিছোঁ। ফৰ ষ্টুডেণ্টছ, আই থিংক ইট ইজ এগেইন নট এন এডভাইচ অল এলং, সেইটো আজিৰ কথা নহয় ষ্টুডেণ্টছৰ কাৰণে বা য়াংষ্টাৰ্ছ, মই তেনেকৈ কওঁ কথাটো। It is important that we adopt to change. The change is the only constant, and change is happening very fast, especially with technology coming in. গতিকে আমি কি কৰিব লাগিব, আমি এডিশ্যনেল স্কিল ছেটছ গোটাব লাগিব, আৰু সেইটো গোটাবলৈ আমাকতো এডুকেশ্যন ইনষ্টিটিউশ্যনত পামেই আমি, তথাপি আমাৰ ফালৰ পৰা উই শ্বুড ট্ৰাই টু চি এনি এডিশ্যনেল স্কিলছ ডেট উই কেন ডেভেলপ, নাম্বাৰ ওৱান। নাম্বাৰ টু, কথাটো হৈছে ডেট উই হেভ টু বি, উই নিড টু ডেভেলপ, আৰু এটা কথা আছে ইয়াত, ছফ্ট স্কিলছ। ছফ্ট স্কিল কম্পনেণ্টটো আজিকালি বহুত ইম্পৰ্টেণ্ট হৈ গৈছে। ছফ্ট স্কিল মানে আপোনাৰ ধৰক কমিউনিকেশ্যন স্কিলছ, লিডাৰশ্বিপ, টিমত কাম কৰিব পৰা। এতিয়া আপুনি যদি এটা ইণ্টাৰভিউত যায়, দ্য মষ্ট ইম্পৰ্টেণ্ট থিং দেট কামছ আপ ইজ ৱেডাৰ দেট পাৰ্চন, ইভেন ইফ দ্য পাৰ্চন হেজ এক্সেপশ্যনেল স্কিলছ, ৱেডাৰ দেট পাৰ্চন উইল বি এবল টু ৱৰ্ক ইন এ টিম অৰ নট, সেইটো কিন্তু আটাইতকৈ প্ৰয়োজনীয়। গতিকে সেই তেনেকুৱা স্কিলছবোৰ, ছফ্ট স্কিলছবোৰ ডেভেলপ কৰিব লাগে। আমি আমাৰ ফালৰ পৰাতো সকলোৱে চেষ্টা কৰোঁ, নিজেও চেষ্টা কৰিব লাগিব। এণ্ড দেন অফক'ৰ্ছ ইউ ট্ৰাই টু এডাপ্ট টু চেঞ্জ এণ্ড থিংক কি চেঞ্জ ইজ বেচিকেলি ফৰ মাই ডেভেলপমেণ্ট, এণ্ড আই নিড টু বি এ পাৰ্টনাৰ ইন দ্যাট চেঞ্জ ফৰ এ বেটাৰ ফিউচাৰ। গতিকে তেনেকৈ ভিউটো ল'লে মোৰ হিচাপত ইট বিকামছ ইজিয়াৰ।
Thank you, Dr. Garg. It has been a great conversation. It was great having you. And to all of you who have been here till the end of the episode, thanks a lot. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel, and then you catch the next one. Thanks.